Hello there, my name is Chef Jason Champagne. I am chef owner of Native Chef LLC, and I'm just so thankful that you're watching today's video. Today's video continues on knife skills, and again, as I said in the last video, it's just so important. So we'll be cutting up a bunch of fruit today, and I'll be showing you the correct way to hold a knife and to trim up some fresh fruit and make it easier on you cutting it up, and so that you can have some fresh fruit for your family. I appreciate you watching, and I want to thank the Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma for the opportunity to present. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to go over knife skills. Okay, so it's so important how to learn to use that knife. Today I'm going to show you how to do the cantaloupe, pineapple. We're going to cut up this watermelon. We're going to cut up some strawberries, blueberries. We're not cutting up the blueberries. We're utilizing the blueberries for garnish, and then we're going to garnish with some raspberries. So next time you go to the grocery store, some of you might even buy this stuff. If you notice, you'll see containers of cut up pineapple, containers of cut up watermelon and cantaloupe, and you know, they're just little small containers like that big, and maybe can feed, you know, 2 people for one meal, and they charge like $5 for it, or you know, they might charge a fourth of a watermelon for like $4. And I want to show you how much more you can get for your dollar if you learn how to cut this stuff up at home. And at the end, you'll kind of visually see how much more we can get for our dollar. And the whole point is keeping more money in our pocket. Okay, the first thing to do is learn how to use a knife and how to hold it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my knife with my thumb on this divot right here firmly, and on the other side I've got my finger on this other divot firmly, and then I got a good grip. Okay, so that's first. You want to have a nice good firm on the knife grip on the knife. And practice, if you've never used a chef knife before, practice with it, okay? That's first step. And if you need to use a utility knife to start, use that. If you need to use a paring knife, you've never even handled a knife before in your life, you may want to use it with a paring knife. It's going to take you more time in the kitchen, but you'll gradually get up. And the sooner you can use a knife like this, the better. This is about an 8-inch chef knife, and I couldn't do my job without this. This saves me so much time, and it'll save you time in the long run, the sooner you learn how to use it. Second, what I do is I take a bigger cutting board and I put a damp paper towel down. This is going to keep my board from sliding and slipping on me. Especially if you're utilizing a really sharp knife, okay, it's going to save you in the long run with accidents, okay? It's not going to really slide on me, okay? So anytime I cut up fresh produce, I like to have a little trash bowl right here. Some of you compost, you can utilize it for compost. I like to have a little trash bowl right here. Okay, so first step, I've already washed my cantaloupe. Okay, so this is going to be knife skills, learning how to use this knife and cutting up this cantaloupe. So first thing I want to do is I want to cut off the end. Okay, and then I'm going to line my knife up. I'm going to line this edge right here with the same cut on the other side. I'm going to even it up, and I'm going to cut down. Okay, so now you see that green line, there's kind of like a little thin green line. That's what I'm going to utilize my knife to follow that guideline. So the first cut will kind of be following that little line right there, and I'm going to cut with the shape of this cantaloupe all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to start right behind that green line, and I'm going to cut down, and I'm going to follow that line. So now you can see I have a line to follow here. Okay, you see this line right here? So every cut from here on, I'm going to line my knife behind that thin line right here, using it as a guide. And all I'm doing is I'm cutting down, and I'm following the shape of the cantaloupe. So I took all the outside rind off, and as you can see, there might be a few little green spots, but that's okay. And I put all the rind into our trash bowl. So now all I want to do is I want to simply cut across right down the middle. I'm going to take this pulp out. So it's pretty easy to do. Take a spoon, drag it to the bottom, drag all that pulp in there to the bottom, and then just use your spoon to kind of dish it out right at the bottom. Now you say, all right, it's so nice to have this trash bowl ready. So now we're left with two halves here. Okay, so all the pulp is gone. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to line my knife up right here. Okay, it's about 1 inch above. And then I'm going to slice horizontally. Okay, be careful with this cut. Slice horizontally. And then I'm going to take my knife and line it up with this next one, just like this. So I'm using this one to make this one just as thick as that one, right? Because we want pieces to look similar. And then I'm going to cut the middle out. I'm going to move these two, push these together, and I'm going to make one cut there, one cut there, and then we'll just simply cross about 1 inch. With this one, I'm going to make 1 inch in. And then we'll just cross. So each one of these are about 1 inch. So this didn't take long. Probably only took about maybe 3 minutes from start to finish to cut this cantaloupe up. And we'll just put it right in. I like to use Tupperware again because I'm able to just cover it and get it out when I need it. But pretty dang easy. And again, I suggest if you're just learning how to use a knife, utilize cutting up fruit because it's soft, it's easy to cut up, and work on making food the same cut, similar, because people eat with their eyes. We don't want big long thin ones and big long thick ones. We want pieces that look similar. And that's one cantaloupe. Okay, next up is our cantaloupe. Okay, again, I pre-washed it. That's pretty important. You don't know who's touched it at the grocery market. Pre-washed it, let it dry a little bit. The same thing as a cantaloupe. I'm gonna cut the tip off here. Okay, and I'm gonna spin it around. I'm gonna line this up horizontally with me, and I'm gonna cut the end off. I'm gonna put this in my trash bowl. I got a handy little trash bowl right here. Same thing. I'm gonna find these little brown pieces on the top. You see that little brown piece right here? Okay, I'm going to line my knife up right with that. And then I'm going to cut down and I'm going to follow the shape. Now this first cut, you might see a bunch of these brown ones, but all I'm going to do, I'm going to use those as a guide. So the next cut is going to be right on the inside of this brown piece right here. And then later on, I can go back and get rid of a few of these if I need to, okay? Okay, I'm going to follow my line again. You see these brown spots? I'm just going to line my knife right behind them, okay? I'm not cutting too much flesh off, but I want to get rid of those brown spots because they're kind of eyes, so you can leave a few, but we don't want to cut up too much of the flesh either. But we do want to get rid of majority of those brown spots. And then some of these are left. We can just go back and trim a few if you want. Some of the major ones. Don't have to get rid of all of them, but we don't want all of them either, so. Okay, now that we've gotten rid of those majority of the brown spot, there's a few on there, but that's okay. We want to get rid of this middle part. You see that circle right there? We want to cut that out. Sometimes you can use a long pineapple core, whatever, if you have one of those. I always cut it out, and the best way to do that is I line my knife up right in between it and I cut straight down, okay? And then here I find the middle. You can kind of see that middle core there. See that that core right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my knife right in between it, okay, on both pieces. And then I'm going to stand these up and I'm simply going to cut that core out on each one. Cut in about 1/2 inch and we'll get rid of these cores. Okay, we got rid of the cores here. Now what I'm going to do is I don't like to cut fruit too small because it's going to lose a lot of juice. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut down into 1/3. Cut these into 3 pieces, 2 cuts, and I'm going to cross cut it similar to the size of the cantaloupe, which is about 1 inch. That core is really, you can't even chew that core. It's too hard to chew. So now that I got the pineapple cut up, this is why I like to have these deeper Tupperware pieces. This has a nice cover on it, and there's enough room to go ahead and put the pineapple on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put this pineapple right on top. What I like to do is either pull it to the edge of the kitchen island here and push it in, or just take your cutting board and slide it right on. So you probably want to put the item that there's going to be more of on the bottom, which in this case was the cantaloupe. And then we'll just layer our pineapple right on top, right? So we got the most volume on the bottom. The second volume would be on top. And it's a nice colorful salad. Again, if you can do this once a week, this would, you know, matters on how many people are in your family, but this is a great way to start the day. Fresh fruit, don't even have to cut it up. It's already cut up. You just grab it out of the fridge, throw it in your bowl, and eat a quick breakfast, and you're on your way. Okay, so very quickly we're going to do the strawberries, and all I've done is I've washed them and then rinsed them off, and then I've just cut off the husks on the bottom, the stems off the bottom. So there's 2 ways you can slice these. You can do the conventional slices this way. What I like to do is I like to cut them up at an angle from the top, and I kind of turn and I make these slivers instead. To me, they're a little bit more eye appealing. And again, you know, we get to people that eat with their eyes, and that's what we want to do. We want people to visually see things that are a little bit more attractive, the way they look, the food looks. So all I'm doing is cutting it down, turning it about 1/4 of an inch, and cutting down. So what we're left with here is quartered pieces instead of sliced, and visually they're just a little bit more appetizing in my opinion. Takes a knife skill to be able to do that, but it's practice, and they're pretty easy to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly cut up this watermelon. This is a seedless watermelon. It was on sale this week for about $2.88, I believe. If you don't need all of it, what I would do is I would cut it in half and then I would wrap that with saran wrap. But if you do want all of it, it's pretty easy to cut up. It's a good fruit to practice your knife skills with, and you can actually just cut it in half and then leave the rind on so that people have something to hold on to. That's always a nice one. I'd cut it in half this way and then I'd cut it in half this way and then make some nice slices here. We're going to go ahead and take the rind off really quick. So it's the same knife cut as we've been doing with the cantaloupe and the pineapple. So I'm just going to cut this end off right here, okay? And then I'm going to cut this end off right here. And then again, this line right here is what I use my knife to guide with, okay? So I start my knife right underneath that line and I just cut down, and now I use my knife and I guide it along this next line, okay? So all I'm doing is I'm just cutting right along the watermelon, the shape of the watermelon. As you can see, you see that line right here? Again, I'm just going to line my knife. See how my knife is lined up right behind that line right there? And then just follow the curvature of the watermelon. And then what you can do is you can go back, flip it over. There's a few spots here. We'll just trim it from the bottom. Okay, we don't want to leave too much white on there. A little bit's okay. And you can go back and just trim it up a tad bit. So we've taken the rind off of this watermelon here, and as I said before, if there's one fruit that would be just the perfect fruit to practice knife skills on, it would be this watermelon. So if you can get to this point and get the rind, this is where you really want to practice. Okay, it's soft, it's easy to cut through, and you're able to really focus in on doing knife cuts that look similar. That's what we want to do. We don't want big ones, we don't want smaller ones. Some of them, they're not going to be all the same, but visually we want knife cuts to look similar, okay? So if you're new to using a knife, perfect way to start and practice, and then you have a whole bunch of watermelon for your family. So once I get here, I want to get it to 2 pieces that I can manage and cut with. So I'm just going to simply cut it right down the middle, and I'm going to move one of them to this paper towel here, and now I have a half piece. So this is how I do mine. I lay it flat so it's not going to be rolling around on me, and then I simply line my knife up about 1.5 inches up from the board, and I carefully start slicing horizontally like this. Okay, so then I have a manageable piece there. Okay, anytime you cut up a watermelon, the smaller you cut it, the more juice you're going to lose. Okay, so we don't want tiny cuts, but we definitely don't want big gigantic ones either. So now this piece, I'm just going to simply line my knife up with that piece so I get a similar cut along. Now we can take these pieces and we can practice cutting. So I'm just cutting 1.5 inches in, turn it this way, and then 1.5 inches in. So as you can see, I didn't actually move the watermelon, and they're actually cut almost the same, you know. So we want visually pieces that are appetizing chunks like this. And another reason why it's nice to have investment into good Tupperware. This one, I think, well, you can get a 2-pack for about maybe $18, but you know, the great thing about this stuff is it really never goes bad. I mean, it sounds like making you know, a lot of money into an investment, but you're going to use this like almost forever. And it comes with a cover, so you know, when you do cut up watermelon or a lot of fruit for you, if you have a big family, it's a great way to store it. And then getting it in, I just like to hang my cutting board right on the edge and slide it in. And again, as I went over in kitchen essentials, equipment, it's so nice to have a bigger cutting board when you're doing this. As you can see, if I had a little tiny cutting board, how hard that would be to cut up a bigger watermelon like this with a smaller cutting board. So again, along with the Tupperware, such a great investment. And this cutting board should last forever, as long as I keep it clean and wash it every time I use it and not let it get too stained. So didn't take too long, probably took about maybe 5 to 6 minutes to cut up this watermelon, but as you can see, that's enough watermelon for a family of 4 for probably 2 days. You know, less people in the house, more people in the house, it varies, but tremendous way to practice your knife skills and have a wonderful treat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever. Fresh watermelon. Okay, so now as you can see, we have everything cut up. We have our watermelon, we have our pineapple and our cantaloupe and strawberries, blueberries, and we got raspberries. So now the fun starts. Right now everything's cut up so people can serve themselves. You can set it up in a salad bar, serve yourself type of thing, or you know what I like to do is I like to try to get kids involved with food. That's number one to me, is working with kids. And kids love to get their hands on food, and this is a perfect opportunity to teach them how to plate with colors. And so people eat with their eyes, and the more colorful you make these dishes, the better you know, people are going to like them and eat them. Another thing you need to understand with plating is you want to plate and fill the base with the least expensive product, which in this case, the watermelon. This watermelon, I believe, was on special for about $3.50 or something, but look how much we got for $3.50 versus raspberries that were $2.99, and this isn't all of them, there's a few more, but you know, for what we spent with this and this, we don't want the raspberries buried at the bottom, right? We want them to be displayed on top. So if you're taking a fruit salad, let's say to a barbecue, you don't want the most expensive ingredients like the blueberries and raspberries buried at the bottom. You want them on top, so visually people will see them. That way you don't have to spend a whole bunch on these things. So we're just gonna build this quick salad. We're gonna put some watermelon at the bottom. And then we're going to dish on top some of this cantaloupe. So we're just building our base with the stuff that didn't cost a whole bunch, right? We're just building our base with the least cost item, which would be, and then I kind of want to coordinate the colors. So as I can see right here, there's not a yellow here, so I'll go ahead and place a yellow right there. Okay, so we have our base, the most volume product, and then from here, then you can make it really colorful. So now we'll take our slivered strawberries. Put our strawberries right on top so that people can see them. Okay. So I guess cost-wise, these are lined up to at least, and then the next least, and then the next least, and all the way down to the most expensive. Okay, so we have our strawberries where visually people can see them. They're not buried at the bottom. And then we'll take some blueberries, and we're going to use the blueberries as a garnish here. So nice bright color blueberries on top where people can see it. So when you take this to your family get together, they'll be like, wow, you went all out. You got blueberries and raspberries, and probably think that wasn't too cheap to do, but they don't realize that only the expensive products were on top. And then we'll just garnish again with some raspberries on top. Pretty simple. So there we have it. Good size fruit salad full of all kinds of nutrients and vitamins, colorful, and again, people eat with their eyes, so pretty easy to do. So as you can see how much more volume we got with buying our own fruit. And I was in the grocery store the other day, and I saw where they had those containers where they already had cut up watermelon and cut up pineapple and cantaloupe, and little bitty tiny container, maybe about that tall by this big. I'm guessing it weighs a pound. They wanted $5, and we could probably fill that little container with this right here in front of us probably 5 or 6 times. So what I wanted you to get from this video is how you can utilize your knife skills that you develop so that you can cut up product on your own instead of having to pay someone else to do it, and then you'll have more for your family. And also how important it is to plate with colors. And you know, like I said, these raspberries were a little bit pricey, maybe especially in the winter time if you're trying to buy raspberries, but we're not utilizing them at the bottom of our dishes. We're using as them in garnishes. So utilize the most expensive food as garnishes, and utilize the least expensive foods as the base. And again, if you have the money to do it, invest in some good Tupperware. These two have covers. If you're gonna build a fruit salad for home, I wouldn't put the strawberries and blueberries and raspberries on top of this and then store it. The reasoning is fruit goes bad with oxygen and moisture. So what happens is if you put the strawberries on top and the blueberries and raspberries, the strawberries will draw out moisture from the pineapple and cantaloupe. And what will happen is your strawberries will start going bad much quicker than this will. So you don't want to ruin this by a few strawberries going bad on top. And another trick is if you're going to store your strawberries or blueberries or raspberries, if you ever notice the container that the raspberries come in, they have a little padding at the bottom. And what that padding is, it's absorbing moisture that's coming out, right? So if you ever put fruit into, like, let's say Tupperware, smaller Tupperware, what I like to do is I like to put a piece of paper towel at the bottom, and that paper towel I fold it, and what that's doing is that's capturing that excess moisture so that moisture doesn't make the strawberries go bad. Pretty simple, pretty basic, easy food. That's what I like to do. I like to do easy food that anyone can do. Again, this is a great opportunity to get the kids involved. Maybe you have some kids that want to start learning how to cook. Well, like I said, start with soft product. The watermelon is a perfect fruit to start. Or if you're just novice with the knife, just start with the soft fruit and practice on making things look alike with your knife skills. breathe when you cut, take time, and try to make things look alike. So that's it for the fruit knife skills portion. Okay, well that does it for this lesson. I hope you guys learned something. I hope now you're able to go out and buy that fresh fruit and cut it up yourself. And as the video showed, it's just so important to know how to handle that knife and use it correctly and keep money in your pocket. That's what this is all about. Thank you for watching. I want to thank the Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma for the opportunity to present, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much. Have a great day.